Captain Elias Harper stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the soft, glowing surface of Zephyra Prime. The ground beneath him seemed to hum with a strange energy, faint and steady, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. He took a moment to adjust his vision. The sky above was not blue like Earth, but a shifting gradient of teal and lavender, with streaks of golden light curling across it like ribbons of fire. Alien cities sparkled in the distance, their towers bending impossibly toward the sky in geometrical shapes that seemed to defy physics. Elias could feel the weight of history in the air, an invisible sense of ancient knowledge and proud civilization. He was here not as a conqueror, not as a soldier, but as a visitor. Earth had sent him to explore, to understand, and to build bridges. The rumors he had read about Zephyra Prime were remarkable. For centuries, humans had been considered myths among alien civilizations, creatures capable of incredible feats, able to survive impossible situations, and driven by unpredictability that no alien logic could fully comprehend. Some thought humans were exaggerations, legends told to inspire hope or fear. And yet now he was here, walking among the very beings who had whispered of his kind, as if it were a story too incredible to be real. As he moved forward, a group of scouts approached him. They were tall and slender, with skin that shimmered faintly in the light, shifting colors with every movement. Their eyes were large, almond-shaped, and filled with an intelligence that made Elias feel small in comparison. They carried no weapons, yet the air around them suggested authority and presence. One of them, who seemed to be their leader, stepped forward and bowed slightly. "You are the human," the scout said in a voice that was smooth and musical, almost like a song. "The myth spoke of you. We did not expect you to arrive so real. The Queen awaits." He marveled quietly, taking note of the unique flora, the subtle movement of alien animals that flickered in and out of his vision, and the architectural marvels that rose from the ground like crystalline towers. The entire world felt alive, as if every living thing was connected by a thread of shared consciousness. At last they arrived at the palace, an immense structure that appeared to be grown rather than built. Its spires twisted upward like the spiral of a galaxy, and the walls shimmered faintly, as if the building itself was breathing. Guardians, taller and more imposing than the scouts, moved silently along the perimeter, their movements precise and almost hypnotic. Elias felt the weight of their gazes, measuring him, judging him, yet he held himself with calm assurance. He had faced countless situations in his life that tested his courage, and this, he decided, would be no different. The scouts led him into the main hall, a space so vast that it seemed to stretch beyond the limits of his vision. Light from above filtered through translucent walls, creating patterns that danced across the polished floors. And there, seated upon a raised platform that looked like it had grown naturally from the palace floor, was Queen Selara. Her presence was commanding and serene, her skin a luminous silver that seemed to glow with inner light. Her eyes, larger than any human's, shimmered with colors that changed with her mood. When she looked at Elias, he felt as though she could see not just his face but the intentions behind his every thought. "So the rumors were true," she said, her voice melodic but powerful. "You are the human myth. I assure you we are real, and we mean no harm. Sometimes it is not strength alone, but creativity, empathy, and persistence that allow us to survive." Without turning, she gestured for him to follow. The hallways beyond the main chamber were lined with intricate designs that seemed to move under their own power. The walls shimmered, forming images that told stories of Zephyra's history, battles fought, alliances forged, and innovations discovered. Elias realized that the aliens valued knowledge and wisdom above all else, and he found himself both impressed and cautious. They entered a chamber filled with holographic displays and models of distant star systems. Selara's attention focused on a swirling model of a nearby sector, where reports indicated disturbances caused by unknown phenomena. "We have faced threats before, but some forces defy our calculations. We need insight that only someone like you might provide." He had no illusions about being an expert in alien technology, but his training as a human explorer, strategist, and problem solver had taught him that new perspectives often reveal solutions that rigid logic overlooks. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "I can offer some thoughts. Sometimes a fresh perspective, even from someone outside your culture, can illuminate possibilities you may have missed. What makes your kind different? We take risks because we know that sometimes the impossible can be achieved if we try. Perhaps it is, or perhaps it is simply common sense. True strength is not in subjugation, but in cooperation, and I believe there is much your world and mine can learn from each other. Observe our ways, learn our truths, and perhaps in time you will show us the power of your kind firsthand. The myths may have been exaggerated, but I sense something remarkable in you. I am here to learn and to help in any way I can. The weight of that expectation was enormous, but Elias felt a quiet determination settle within him. Humans had survived the unimaginable, and now he would face this new world with the same courage and ingenuity that had defined his species. They walked through corridors that seemed endless, each step revealing new marvels. Gardens that glowed with bioluminescent plants, fountains that defied gravity, and libraries filled with knowledge stored in forms he could scarcely comprehend. And yet, despite the beauty and the awe-inspiring technology, Elias remained grounded. He observed everything, asking questions, noting patterns, and searching for ways to connect what he saw with what he knew. Finally, they reached a chamber at the heart of the palace. Solara gestured for him to enter. It was a space of tranquility and elegance, designed for reflection rather than command. The walls were adorned with murals depicting historical events, not just of Zephyrah Prime, but of other civilizations they had encountered and influenced. Elias felt a deep respect for their culture and wisdom, even as he sensed the unspoken challenge, prove that humans, too, had value in this vast cosmos. Solara watched him closely, her eyes bright with curiosity and expectation. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will meet our council. They are wary of outsiders, especially humans. Some believe the myths to be dangerous exaggerations. You must show them that you are worthy of our trust. That perhaps is our greatest strength." The twin moons of Zephyrah Prime hung low in the sky, casting gentle silver light over the land. The city below glimmered like a field of stars, and he felt a strange but exhilarating sense of purpose. This was more than a diplomatic mission. This was an opportunity to demonstrate the best of humanity, to show that courage, ingenuity, and compassion could shine even in worlds far beyond Earth. And somewhere deep in the palace, Queen Solara whispered to herself, still captivated by the human before her. So the rumors were true, the human myth is real. The next morning, Elias awoke to a world that seemed even more alive than the night before. Sunlight, or what passed for sunlight on Zephyrah Prime, streamed through the translucent walls of his chamber, painting the room in soft shades of teal and gold. He dressed quickly, checking his equipment and personal devices. Though he carried no weapons, his uniform marked him as an explorer and envoy of Earth. Today was not just any day. He would meet the Queen's Council, the most influential minds of Zephyrah, who would judge him not merely as a visitor, but as the living embodiment of human legend. A scout appeared at his door, silent as the wind, bowing in a gesture that Elias had learned signified respect. "The council awaits," the scout said, voice calm and musical. Elias followed, moving through the palace corridors that seemed to shimmer under his footsteps. Every surface reflected a soft, organic light, as if the building itself recognized his presence and welcomed him. When they reached the council chamber, Elias paused at the doorway. It was larger than any hall he had ever entered. Hundreds of council members were present, seated in a circular arrangement around a central dais where Queen Solara now stood. The aliens were diverse, their forms stretching the imagination, some with multiple arms, others with translucent skin, some whose faces shifted with subtle patterns of color that reflected their emotions. All eyes were fixed on him, and the weight of their collective curiosity pressed upon him like gravity itself. Queen Solara stepped forward, her voice resonant yet soft. "Council of Zephyrah, I present to you Captain Elias Harper of Earth. He is the human whose kind has been spoken of in legend across the stars. Today you will see if the myths hold any truth." Whispers of disbelief, excitement, and caution echoed in Elias' ears. Many of these beings had never seen a human, let alone interacted with one. Some still doubted the tales, assuming them to be exaggerations or propaganda. Elias took a step forward, his voice steady. "Honored members of the council, I come in peace. My people wish to learn, to share knowledge, and to understand the universe alongside you. I do not claim perfection. Humans make mistakes, but we have a capacity to adapt, to create, and to overcome challenges in ways that are sometimes unexpected. Your species is said to act without reason, to defy logic and survive where others perish. Is this true? And we value each other's lives enough to take risks not just for ourselves, but for others. Do you not fear the unknown? Many of the elders were listening with genuine curiosity now, their eyes reflecting a mixture of skepticism and wonder. Solara watched Elias closely, her expression thoughtful. You speak wisely, Captain Harper, but words alone are insufficient. You must demonstrate these truths, for the Council measures actions above all else. Then I will show you. The Council explained that these were simulations designed to test intelligence, strategy, and composure. They were not physical threats, but they demanded ingenuity and careful decision-making. Elias stepped forward, studying the scenarios. He recognized patterns immediately: failures in logic, flaws in procedure, over-reliance on rigid systems. Humans thrived where rigidity failed. He began to act, his hands moving over controls, adjusting inputs, rerouting power, and proposing alternatives that the aliens had not considered. Each solution drew quiet gasps from observers. The Council members leaned forward, their attention rapt. One simulation involved a colony on a distant moon, facing structural collapse from unstable terrain. The holographic models showed the aliens' standard protocols failing repeatedly. Elias observed the pattern and then suggested an approach that combined rapid improvisation with resourceful use of local materials. Within moments, the simulation stabilized, and the virtual colonists were safe. A murmur ran through the chamber. One of the senior members whispered to another, "The myths, they were true. Humans are capable of what our methods cannot predict." The Council had assumed the simulations would reach an impasse, but Elias approached calmly, listening to both sides, identifying mutual interests, and proposing a compromise that satisfied all parties. The factions agreed, and the Council's projection of inevitable failure dissolved. Solara's eyes glimmered with pride. Observe, Council, this is why humans are spoken of in awe. Not only do they survive the impossible, but they also create solutions where none seem possible. How do we know your intentions are pure? That is what drives me. Your actions here are already challenging our assumptions, teaching us that flexibility, courage, and creativity can surpass even our most advanced protocols. What do you see in this world? What do you think humans could learn from Zephyra Prime? I see a civilization that has mastered logic, cooperation, and innovation to an incredible degree. There is wisdom here that humans can learn from. And yet, I also see areas where adaptability, risk-taking, and moral courage could enhance what you already possess. Humans and Zephyrians together could achieve even greater things. Then perhaps the myth is not only true, but it is also a promise. The presence of a human may inspire not only your kind, but ours, to grow beyond the limits we perceive. The human was not just clever. He had shown courage, empathy, and the ability to navigate complexity with creativity and calmness. These were qualities that their society valued, but often struggled to practice in unpredictable situations. Elias realized something as he stood there. He was not merely proving himself to the aliens. He was building trust, not through force or intimidation, but through actions, reason, and humanity. The myths surrounding humans had survived across the stars not because of exaggeration, but because humans truly were exceptional in ways that other civilizations struggled to understand. Solara raised her hand, drawing the Council's attention. Council of Zephyra, what you have witnessed is a glimpse of the human spirit. Captain Harper has demonstrated ingenuity, courage, and empathy, qualities we may have known in theory, but rarely seen embodied. I urge you to consider that humans, though different, are not merely a myth. They are living proof that the universe is wider, richer, and more complex than we imagine. After the Council meeting, Solara guided him through the palace gardens. The air was fragrant with alien blooms that pulsed with light, and streams of silver liquid traced gentle paths across the terrain. Elias walked quietly, reflecting on the day's events. "You have done well," Solara said softly, her voice blending with the soft hum of the gardens. "The Council is impressed, though some still cling to doubt. But your actions have spoken louder than words. Humans are not simply survivors or legends. You are inspiration. Cooperation benefits all species. And I believe that when different civilizations learn from each other, the universe becomes a better place for all." He was far from Earth, yet he felt at home in this moment of understanding and mutual respect. Queen Solara stood beside him, gazing at the horizon. "Tomorrow, the Council will observe your abilities further, but today you have begun to show them the power of humans, not through stories, not through legend, but through actions. That is the true measure of your kind. But he also knew that he had taken the first step in proving that humans were not myths. They were real, remarkable, and capable of inspiring awe even among the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. As he looked up at the twin moons, Elias whispered quietly to himself, "This is only the beginning." The following morning, Elias awoke with a sense of purpose stronger than ever. The events of the previous day had left a deep impression on him, but he knew the real test was only beginning. Today, he would face the Council's trials, designed not merely to test knowledge or strategy, but to challenge a being's ingenuity, courage, and ability to adapt under pressure. These were trials that had been created over generations to assess outsiders, and for a human to survive them would be unprecedented. As he stepped out of his chamber, a scout awaited him, moving silently with the grace of wind through trees. "Captain Harper," the scout said, voice calm yet resonant, "the Council is prepared. The trials will begin shortly. Follow me." The massive circular room now resembled a complex arena, with shifting platforms, floating holograms, and devices that he could not immediately identify. Queen Celera rose to address the chamber. "Captain Harper, today you will face trials designed to measure your mind, your courage, and your adaptability. Some may appear impossible. Some will require choices that test your character. You will not face physical danger, yet the challenges will be demanding." The Council's projections showed failure after failure, solutions that their most advanced algorithms could not sustain. Elias studied the holographic displays carefully. He observed the failures, noting how each solution attempted to follow rigid protocols that did not account for unusual environmental conditions. Humans, he thought, thrived where rigidity failed. He adjusted the power distribution, rerouted energy from non-essential systems, and suggested an unconventional repair sequence that involved temporary structural modifications. The holographic station stabilized. A murmur ran through the Council. Elias had succeeded where their algorithms had failed. He turned to observe the next challenge, a negotiation simulation between two alien factions, each claiming rights to the same vital resource. The Council had predicted a deadlock, a scenario meant to demonstrate the impossibility of compromise. Elias approached calmly, listening to each faction's concerns. He recognized patterns in their arguments, deep-seated fears, pride, and assumptions about each other. Using empathy and reasoning, he proposed a solution that honored both factions' primary concerns while introducing a creative compromise that neither had anticipated. The simulation ended in agreement. Queen Celera's eyes glimmered with approval. "Observe, Council. The human not only solves problems, but inspires solutions that our logic alone could not conceive." Elias analyzed the sequence of events quickly, noting patterns in the disasters, timing, and distribution. He coordinated emergency measures, suggesting alternative evacuation routes, temporary shelters, and rapid deployment of rescue units. The city survived, and its inhabitants were saved. Even the most skeptical council members whispered to each other, their expressions a mix of astonishment and disbelief. One elder, whose skin shimmered in hues of violet and green, leaned toward a neighbor. "The myths, perhaps they were not exaggerated. This being thinks in ways our algorithms cannot anticipate." A ship carrying valuable resources was stranded in dangerous space, and Elias had to choose between rescuing the crew immediately, which risked destroying the resources, or saving the resources first, which endangered lives. Many council members expected him to follow the logical course, prioritizing efficiency. Elias reflected on the options. Human values, he knew, often emphasized empathy alongside practicality. He devised a solution that allowed both the crew and the resources to be saved, using creative adjustments to ship systems and calculated risks that he continuously monitored. The holographic ship returned safely, its cargo intact, and the council was visibly impressed. Celera stepped forward, her voice carrying both pride and curiosity. "Captain Harper, you embody the qualities humans are said to possess: intelligence, courage, and empathy, but the Council still watches closely. They are wary not of your abilities, but of your judgment. The final trial will test both." Elias surveyed the situation calmly. He identified critical points where immediate action could prevent cascading failures. He delegated attention to each challenge sequentially while introducing innovative solutions. Rerouting energy, creating temporary alliances between disputing parties, and improvising structures to stabilize the environment. He monitored each response, adapting strategies in real time. Minutes passed and the chaos slowly subsided. The holographic cities stabilized, the disputes were resolved, and the crises were contained. The council erupted in astonishment, their projections proven entirely insufficient. Solara's voice rose above the murmurs. "Council of Zephyra, what you have witnessed is unprecedented. Captain Harper has succeeded where logic alone failed, not through brute force, but through ingenuity, empathy, and adaptability. Humans are not merely survivors, they are catalysts for solutions that surpass expectation." The skeptical elder who had whispered earlier now nodded slowly, a gesture of acknowledgement and respect. Elias exhaled quietly, feeling a mix of relief and satisfaction. The trials had tested him, not with physical danger, but with challenges that demanded every ounce of his intelligence, creativity, and composure. He had proven that humans were capable of navigating unpredictability, making decisions under pressure, and achieving outcomes that logic alone could not predict. Solara walked beside him as they left the chamber, the soft hum of the palace echoing around them. "You have shown them more than skill, Captain Harper. You have shown them what it means to be human. Courage, adaptability, and empathy, these are your strengths, and they are lessons that even we, with all our knowledge, can learn from." And yet humans are said to inspire more than just solutions. They inspire hope, creativity, and courage. Today you have done both, solved the impossible and inspired those who doubted. That is rare across the stars. They moved with a newfound curiosity, speaking quietly among themselves, no longer merely skeptical but now engaged with the possibilities his presence represented. It was a small shift, but Elias knew it would ripple across their civilization. Humans had the ability to spark change, not by dominance but by example. One of the younger council members approached him tentatively. "Captain Harper, your solutions are remarkable, but how do you make decisions so quickly yet with such accuracy? Our algorithms often fail to consider all variables. We take calculated risks, but we also consider the impact on others. Sometimes the solution is not the one the system expects, it is the one that works in reality. Captain Harper, today you have done more than survive trials. You have taught, inspired, and challenged. This is the essence of the human myth. You are living proof that our understanding of the universe is incomplete, and that cooperation with your kind can lead to extraordinary outcomes." The council had witnessed actions that could not be predicted by logic alone. They had learned that myths often contain truth, and that human potential was something worth respecting and learning from. As evening approached, Solara led Elias to a balcony overlooking the alien city. The twin moons rose slowly, casting a soft glow across the crystalline towers and shimmering rivers. The city was alive, its citizens moving with a rhythm that spoke of harmony, yet Elias knew that even in such an advanced civilization, there was always room for growth. "Captain Harper," Solara said softly, "the council will deliberate further, but today you have made history. You have not only proven the human myth, but have also shown that humans can teach us as much as we can teach them. The universe is broader, richer, and more complex than we imagined, and your presence here reminds us of that truth. Humans and Zephyrians can achieve more together than apart, and perhaps that is the most important lesson of all. Tomorrow brings new challenges, but now the Council, and perhaps even our world, will view you with understanding and respect. Humans were not myths. They were capable of extraordinary things, and this was only the beginning of the story he would write alongside Zephyra Prime. The calm of Zephyra Prime was shattered early the next morning. Sensors across the city detected a swarm of hostile machines approaching from the edge of the system. These were not ordinary invaders. They moved with deadly precision, consuming energy and resources wherever they appeared. The Council had prepared defenses for most threats, but this swarm operated differently, adapting and countering every strategy the Zephyrians employed. Panic rippled through the population, though it was measured and orderly by their usual standards. Elias was summoned immediately to the central command chamber. The room buzzed with urgency, holographic displays projecting the positions and movement patterns of the invaders. Solara stood at the center, her expression calm but intense. "Captain Harper," she said, "these machines have never been seen before. They adapt faster than our systems can calculate. We need your insight. If anyone can find a solution, it is you. If we combine your systems with some unconventional strategies, we might find a way to outmaneuver them. Use every resource you need." He quickly devised a plan to introduce unpredictability, mimicking the adaptability that humans excelled at. He instructed the defense towers to fire in irregular sequences, creating false patterns that would confuse the machines. Energy shields were reallocated dynamically, moving in ways the invaders could not predict. Communication networks were used to feed misleading data to the swarm, guiding them into traps without revealing the city's true positions. Solara watched closely, noting the unusual commands and strategies. "You think differently than our generals," she remarked. "Your kind does not follow routine. It is unnerving but effective." Flexibility is often the key to survival. He also identified weak points in their formation, suggesting precision strikes that destabilized their structure without wasting energy on unnecessary attacks. Even as the machines pressed forward, the city's defenses began to regain control. Civilians were safely evacuated, emergency systems functioned effectively, and the invading swarm faltered. The council, initially doubtful, watched in astonishment as the human coordinated a defense far beyond what their best algorithms had predicted. One council elder, whose translucent skin shimmered with gold and green, spoke aloud, astonishment in its tone. "This is beyond calculation. The human's mind operates on principles we cannot fully model." "He is remarkable." Every move was calculated yet flexible, reflecting the human ability to adapt under pressure. Hours passed, and slowly the tide turned. The invaders' swarm began to break apart, their formations disrupted, and their advance slowed. Even the most sophisticated machines were no match for a combination of advanced alien technology and human ingenuity applied in unexpected ways. Solara stood beside Elias, watching as the final sections of the swarm were neutralized. "You have done what our greatest minds could not," she said softly. "You have turned a seemingly impossible threat into a victory." "I merely suggested a different approach. Humans are not only clever, but capable of inspiring action and solutions we could not predict." Despite their advanced technology and logic-driven society, it was clear that the humans' ability to inspire flexibility had been just as important as the machine's defeat. Solara approached Elias once more, her luminous eyes filled with admiration. "Captain Harper, you have proven once again that humans are exceptional. Not only do you act with intelligence and courage, but you inspire others to act beyond their limitations. This is why your kind is spoken of as a myth, and now I see why it is a myth rooted in truth." He had faced crises on Earth, from natural disasters to conflicts that tested humanity's limits, but this was the first time he had faced an alien civilization's ultimate challenge. The victory had not come from technology alone, but from creativity, empathy, and courage, the traits that made humans unique across the cosmos. As the city settled into quiet recovery, the Queen led Elias to a panoramic balcony overlooking the horizon. The alien skyline shimmered with the soft light of twin moons rising, and the rivers below reflected the glow of the rebuilding city. "Humans are said to change the course of events simply by being present," Solara said softly. "Today, you have proven that. You have not only defended our world, but shown us what it means to think differently, to act courageously, and to inspire hope. I only hope I have added a small contribution to your efforts." He had come to Zephyra Prime as a visitor, but through his actions, he had become something more, a bridge between civilizations, proof that humans were not merely myths, but living examples of courage, adaptability, and ingenuity. As night fell, the palace glowed softly under the twin moons. Elias reflected on the day's events, realizing that the swarm's attack had been more than a challenge. It had been an opportunity to show the true value of humanity. Zephyrians had witnessed not only a solution to an impossible problem, but also a model of leadership, creativity, and moral courage. Solara stood beside him, gazing at the horizon. "Tomorrow, we must consider the future," she said. "The universe is vast, and there will be challenges beyond this world. But now, we know that humans are capable of extraordinary things. Perhaps together, we can achieve what neither species could accomplish alone." The events of the day had shown that humans were not only survivors or legends, but catalysts for cooperation, innovation, and hope. The universe was full of unknown threats, but it was also full of opportunity, and humans, with their unique combination of intelligence, creativity, and courage, could make a difference wherever they went. As he looked out at the city below, Elias whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning. Humans are not myths, we are real, and we can face whatever the universe throws at us. Ilias knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and perhaps new mysteries. But for now, he had proven what humans could do, not through legend alone, but through action, courage, and the unyielding spirit that had defined his kind for millennia. And somewhere deep in the palace, Queen Celara thought quietly to herself, still captivated by the human before her. So the rumors were true, humans are more than myths. They are extraordinary. The morning after the swarm's defeat, Zephira Prime awoke to a sense of calm and accomplishment. The city had survived an attack that would have overwhelmed most civilizations, yet here it stood, its structures intact and its citizens resilient. Birds or creatures that resembled them flitted among the translucent trees, their soft calls filling the air with life. Streams of silver liquid reflected the rising twin suns, shimmering across the landscape like rivers of light. Ilias Harper stood at the balcony of the palace, observing the city below. He had spent the previous day coordinating defenses, guiding strategies, and inspiring a civilization to adapt in ways their systems had not anticipated. Yet, today was not about strategy or defense. It was about understanding, recognition, and the beginning of a new alliance between humans and Zephyrians. Queen Celara approached him quietly, her luminous form glowing faintly in the morning light. "Captain Harper," she said, her voice soft yet commanding, "you have proven that humans are not myths. You have inspired my people, challenged our assumptions, and guided us to victory. Now it is time to acknowledge what you and your kind represent. I have only acted as any human would in a situation that demanded action. The real credit belongs to your people, their courage, and their willingness to adapt. That humans are capable of seeing beyond rigid logic and creating solutions where none seem possible. That is why the legends speak of your kind with awe." There was a mixture of respect, curiosity, and cautious admiration in their expressions. Some had doubted humans at first, others had been intrigued, but all now recognized that legends often hold truths. Celara gestured toward Ilias. "Council of Zephira, today we honor not only a visitor but a bridge between worlds. Captain Ilias Harper has demonstrated courage, intelligence, and creativity beyond what our systems could predict. He has shown that humans, while different, possess qualities that are essential for progress and understanding. Today, we recognize the truth of the human myth." Then one of the elders stepped forward, its translucent skin pulsing with shades of green and gold. "Captain Harper, humans have been spoken of across the stars as legends, beings capable of extraordinary feats. Today, we have seen firsthand that these tales are true. Your actions have saved lives, inspired our people, and proven that humans are worthy of our trust and admiration. Humans and Zephyrians together can achieve more than either alone. Your presence has changed not only the outcome of the swarm's attack, but also our perspective on what is possible. Captain Harper's actions remind us that even in a world governed by logic and calculation, the human spirit brings something unique: creativity, compassion, and courage that cannot be measured by algorithms alone." They discussed the implications of Ilias' presence, his approach to problem-solving, and the lessons humans could teach Zephyrians. It became clear that the encounter was more than a test. It was an opportunity for mutual growth and understanding. Finally, Celara addressed the council. "Let it be declared, humans are no longer myths to be wondered at from afar. They are real, capable, and essential allies. Captain Harper represents the potential of his kind, and we honor him for the courage and insight he has shown. May this recognition mark the beginning of cooperation between our peoples and the promise of a brighter future together." Ilias felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans had always been admired in legend, but now that admiration was grounded in reality. He had shown not only skill but character, proving that humanity could inspire trust, cooperation, and hope across the stars. Celara led him to a large observation deck overlooking the city. The twin suns shone brightly, illuminating the streets, gardens, and crystalline towers. People moved with purpose, repairing minor damage, coordinating systems, and ensuring that life returned to normal. The city was vibrant, alive, and resilient, an embodiment of the qualities that humans valued and respected. "You have changed more than our perception of humans," Celara said softly. "You have inspired action, courage, and innovation. Your presence has planted the seeds for a new era, one in which our civilizations can work together to face challenges beyond what either of us could face alone." Humans have always believed that cooperation, understanding, and courage are essential. By working together, we can achieve things that no single species could accomplish on its own. Your kind has shown us the value of unpredictability, empathy, and courage. Together, we can reach heights neither of us could imagine. In the days that followed, Elias worked closely with the Council and Queen Selara to establish formal communication channels between Earth and Zephira Prime. Plans were made for shared research initiatives, joint exploratory missions, and cultural exchanges. Humans and Zephirians would learn from each other, combining creativity with logic, intuition with calculation, and courage with strategy. The city itself became a symbol of this new alliance. Citizens, initially skeptical of the human presence, now approached Elias with curiosity and respect. They asked questions, observed his methods, and learned how human ingenuity and adaptability could complement their advanced systems. Slowly, a bond formed, not through dominance or force, but through mutual respect and shared purpose. Selara invited Elias to a ceremonial gathering in the central plaza. Thousands of Zephirians gathered, their forms shimmering in the morning light. The city's history and achievements were displayed through holographic projections, highlighting their culture, science, and accomplishments. Then, Elias was invited to speak. He stepped forward, feeling the weight of the audience's attention. "Citizens of Zephira Prime," he began, "I am honored to be here among you. Humans have long been admired in legend, but today I stand not as a myth, but as a representative of a people who seek understanding, cooperation, and friendship. Together, humans and Zephirians can explore the stars, solve impossible problems, and create a future that neither of us could achieve alone. Let this moment mark the start of a partnership built on trust, courage, and mutual respect. You have inspired more than solutions, Captain Harper. You have inspired hope, unity, and the realization that humans and Zephirians together can achieve greatness. The universe is vast, but with allies such as your kind, no challenge is insurmountable. By learning from each other, respecting each other, and facing challenges together, we can accomplish extraordinary things. Humans are not myths, they are real, and we can be partners, friends, and allies across the stars." The humans had proven their value not through force, but through courage, ingenuity, and moral clarity. They had turned legends into reality, myths into inspiration, and admiration into partnership. Selara took Elia's hand gently. "Captain Harper, your journey here has changed our world. You have shown that humans are exceptional not only in legend, but in reality. May this day be remembered as the beginning of a new era, one in which our peoples walk the stars together, learning, growing, and achieving wonders beyond imagination. Humans and Zephirians together, facing the universe, learning from each other, and showing that courage, intelligence, and empathy can shape the future. This is only the beginning of what we can achieve." Humans were no longer myths. They were living proof of courage, adaptability, and the boundless potential of a species that could inspire hope and greatness wherever it went. Legends had become reality, and the future shone brightly with promise.